Your belief about yourself confirms what you think about yourself and how you see yourself. I've seen this illustration from a psychologist, Dr. Julie, and she was sharing the fact that whatever you believe about yourself, your brain is always looking for an evidence to confirm and to reconfirm that belief. Let's say that you've been stacking many successes, right? All of these are the successes that you've accumulated. And then suddenly you get one failure. And this is the evidence you've been looking for. Your brain just confirmed your belief that you are a failure. And that is a very dangerous place to be. Let me tell you a story about my son. My son is part of a program where the curriculum requires them to write speeches every year. And this is his second year. So last year, he wrote his speech. He put in the work, he did the research, and he was ready for it. And on the day where he was supposed to give the speech, he was ready, fired up, and was looking forward to it. He gave the speech. But the response from the crowd wasn't what he expected. The crowd was quite cold, and I could tell that he was a bit frustrated. And just knowing him, in his mind, I thought already that he was thinking of himself as failure because of that event. And we had to talk about the fact that you can fail, but that doesn't mean that you're a failure. And so today, I just want to share with you some of the things that I was talking to him about so that this year he could do better. And he did quite good this year. And I want to share 5 of them with you. Number 1, I had to tell him to frame failure as temporary and isolated. Rejection isn't permanent. It happened here in this moment, not forever. Think of it as an isolated event. Number 2 is you have to hold a big vision with grounded expectation. For him, the vision was to be able to give that speech and wow everyone in the crowd, not from a prideful place, but more so to just let the crowd know that he is putting the work throughout the year to be able to give that speech. Number 3, that as a leader, you have to lead from your strength. So when you lead from a place of strength, you're on target. As a leader, you have one advantage: you can delegate. And as you delegate, you only focus on what you're really good at. And from that place, when it happens that you are rejected just because of this and that, you don't see it as a failure, or you don't see yourself as a failure. You think of it as just an event, and you can learn from it and then do better next time. Number 4, you have to stay flexible in your approach. You have to be able to forget what you thought of as failure in the past. You don't see yourself as a failure anymore. You know that was a missed event, and you know that you can always get better. Last but not least, principle number 5, it is to bounce back with intention. Resilience isn't just getting back up. It is getting back up with intention, with a plan. Let me tell you this. Sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. If you see failure as an isolated event and you see failure as a learning opportunity, all you do is getting better and better every day. So my challenge to you is to get in the framework of seeing failure as a learning event where you learn and get better. I call it failing forward, borrowing from John Maxwell's books, Failing Forward. And remember, failing forward is merely impossible unless you remove you. I mean you. Y-O-U. You remove you from the equation. And if you can do that, you are on your way to become a leader who is always winning and always learning. Hey everyone, so today we are doing something different. I'm going to be answering some questions on failure. And so enjoy.
Have you ever felt invisible? Like you were doing everything right, but nobody saw you?
That is a great question. You know, we live in a world of people. We live in the world of men, and we live in communities. We work with people, and so those things will happen in one shape or the other. And so I've been overlooked, and I have not always dealt with it in the enlightened fashion but I've grown, I've matured into a level where I understand that it's not always because people hate you or don't like you. It may be because of their background, what they're going through. And so what I've learned is not to take anything personally. Although sometimes it is hard, but life is short. So I just try to move on and try the best I can. And my own part is to love the people, is to always apply the golden rule. And I know when I give and give love, I'll receive love. And so my focus will be just to love on people and to be good to people.
Have you ever had to start from zero? Not because you failed, but because the system reset on you?
That is a great question. Absolutely. And I came here as an immigrant a little over 20 years ago, and it was a whole new world for me. I was a young adult, I was in my 20s already, and I had to start everything from scratch. It's like I fell in a world, or I was thrown into a world where I knew nobody. And so I had to go from zero and struggle through different things, going from a dishwasher, barely could speak English, to where I am today. And so, not because I can do all of this on my own, but because I trusted my Lord and Savior. For those of you who are people of faith, I trusted the Lord God, and I did my part. I try to wake up every day and learn and grow and just take good steps to do better. And so there have been failures along the way, but I try to live it day by day, and I learn from people on how to deal with failure and how not to take failure personally, but just as an isolated event. That when failure happens, it has nothing to do with me, but it's just the event that I can move on and just do something else and be better.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered if the doubt was right?
Truth be told, I doubt myself. Up until today, I still doubt myself. And I just trust God for everything that I've been privileged to have. And doubt can creep in when you are trying to build something very important. And the crowd that you've hanged out with on different level, and you are on a different level, you are trying to achieve this and they want to remain there. And so you'll get a lot of pushback, and you're asking yourself, do I have what it takes to do it? Can I do it? The forces that are coming against me are too hard. All the immigrant thoughts, being an immigrant coming here, all those thoughts are going through your mind. And you're asking, no one from my family or anyone that I know that are close to me has done this before. And you doubt yourself, but you just take the step. Take the step, and most times all of these things are our mind, our mindset. And once we get out of that frame, everything becomes, I won't say easy, but possible. Everything becomes possible.
How did you keep going when quitting would have made complete sense?
So that is a great question. What I want to say here is that I wasn't born in this country, and I came here, like I mentioned earlier, as a young adult in my 20s, and I had to start everything. I have to begin from zero, and I came from a French-speaking country, so obviously English is not my native language. It is my second language, and so I had to deal with the linguistic barrier, all the obstacles that came with that. And because my background, where I came from, was really about doing something with yourself. When you are born, you grow, you find your way and become something better. Someone who contributes to the society, someone who thinks about the welfare of the society. And so when I came here, I had to step back and ask myself, what do I want to do with my life? And although it was hard as an immigrant and starting as a dishwasher, working 2 to 3 jobs and try to manage with school and all of that, it wasn't easy, it was hard. But here's the thing. Not long after that, I started following motivational speakers and personal growth mentors and people like that. And Jim Rohn, who is one of the fathers of personal growth, talked about something that really resonated with me. He talked about the 4 ifs of having the life that you want. And obviously, those 4 ifs have impacted my life up until today. So if number 1 is, he said, if you learn, what this told me was that I could not remain at the level I was and try to achieve all the vision that I had. I had to learn. I couldn't just stay in the restaurant and dishwashing and doing what I'm doing to become what I want to become. And so I had to learn. But then when you learn, it comes with resistance. You have to go through the challenges. And so the second if is to try. He said, if you try, you have to keep trying. Sometimes, like I'm talking about right now, we're talking about failure. Sometimes you fail, but failure had nothing to do with me. Those are just events. And so as I fail, I keep trying. He said, you should try. But then you try to some extent and it can get exhausting. You feel like you're in a crucible. It can get exhausting. And he said, the third if is if you stay. So I had to keep telling myself, I have to keep at it. I have to stay. I have to be consistent. And as I'm consistent, it compounds. And I just believed that someday it'll get better. And so I just kept learning. I kept trying and I kept being consistent. And he said, the fourth if is if you care. And once you get all of that, you get to that level. That doesn't mean that what you've gone through before is not there. It's still there. You'll still go through failure. You'll still go through all the obstacles. And once you attain that success, you have to maintain it. And you have to care for it. And he said, if you care. So I just keep reinventing myself, making sure that the failures are not tearing me down, but that I think of them as learnings, because John Maxwell wrote this book about sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And so he said, sometimes we win, but sometimes instead of saying we fail, we learn, because when you learn from your failure, then it becomes more impactful because you can multiply that success that you've had because you are still learning. Those are the four ifs. And I think that closes it. Thank you so much for following. And we'd love to have your feedback and let us know if you want us to do more of this format. And let's see how it can impact you. We'll see you in the next. God bless.